Well, let's talk about our stress here. Okay. What is stress? Well, I'm going to have to give you a scientific definition because that's all I understand. Stress is anything that upsets the homeostasis of your cell. Have you ever heard that word before, homeostasis? That means the balance. All your cells always try to achieve homeostasis. And anything that upsets this, it can be the rhythm, it can be the electromagnetic waves, it can be the chemical enzymes, it can be lack of water. Anything can upset this homeostasis. Worry, things like this. And so, what is the physiology of homeostasis? Well, the cell membrane we looked at a while ago. It has sensory receptors. It has motor effectors. It has polar and non-polar, so the electricity and things that go through the cell can very easily be disrupted with some stressful activity. The environment around the cell is the most important environment that you should have, the environment around it. There you should have your nutrients ready to go in the cell. You should have your 27 chemical elements. You should have your 45 nutrients like your vitamins and your minerals. But you should have all that in the environment of your cell. And if the cell ever needs it, it can take care of it real quick because you've upset the homeostasis of it. The pH ought to be real good around there because when you have cells, they're connected to each other like this. And in between there, you have what they call collagen that connects them together. And if you're drinking all this soda pops that everybody's been drinking, this acid will eat the collagen away. Now, if this cell becomes cancerous, it will break loose and metastasize. That means spread. So you shouldn't drink all these soda pops, too much coffee, too much tea. These are things that will cause the environment to be acid. I had a sheik from Saudi Arabia come see me. Flew over in his plane, rented a limousine, drove up to my little old humble abode, came into my office, and he said, I got 3 months to live. I said, what's the matter? He said, I have prostate cancer and it's spreading. He said, can you help me? And I said, I probably can't, but I'll give it my best shot. I put him on this real alkaline water and put him on different enzymes and the diet. And that was 8 years ago, and he's still alive. And he gave Baylor $1 million in my name. Isn't that nice? I wish he'd have gave it to me. Okay. You should surround your environment with positive talks. Remember we talked self-talk. None of this pity party, no negativity. Because that'll upset this, it'll be stressed around the environment of that cell. And it gets in the cell. Your emotions, we want to have positive emotions and no negative emotions. Every time you get angry, that's not good. Remember, we're going to do this. Okay. And your spiritual. I think the Holy Spirit hangs out there. Prayer. Those are good things that'll help that environment there. And you'll end up with the happy cell. I wrote a book called The Happy Cell. And probably the best book I ever wrote because people actually understood it. So let's get into the type of stressors. There's two types of stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress. We call good stress eustress. Eu comes from the Greek word good. So it's good stress. And then you have distress, which is bad stress. Now, each one of those can be divided into physiological stress and psychological stress. And before we go any further, stress is the one thing that I can't help people with that much. I can tell them all this, but you got to do it. And stress is going to attack your weakest organ. And it's a terrible thing. It's going to concentrate that arachidonic acid to your weakest organ. And so that's what stress does. So if you want to get sick real quick, you just let stress dominate your life. And it will, because I still don't understand that stress. Like I can't control it like I can a lot of other things. But there's some physiological good stressors. Okay? That's what? Exercise, that's good. Can you make it a bad stress? Yeah, if I said, let's go out and run 10 miles right now, that'd be bad stress for you. Did you know that? Yeah. Only one guy in here I know it wouldn't be stressed to, and that's Mike. He runs 10 miles a day. Good nutrition. How many of you ate a good breakfast? I mean, a good breakfast like what we talked about in here. How many of you are not eating good food, so it's a stress? And I can't hardly measure that. I can look at your cortisol and all that, but I can't tell you what's doing. And here's the most important thing I can talk to you about today, is sleep. You've got to get sleep. You've got to have a certain time where you have REM sleep and your mind goes into delta waves. If you don't go into delta waves or REM sleep, that's severe stress to every system in the body. I can't emphasize enough. I had a sleep disorder because I have to know. I got to know. I get up at 2 o'clock and I just read or study or write. I love it. I got to know. I'm weird, aren't I? But you got to know. Well, I started getting some real problems with blood pressure. And so I said, why am I getting blood pressure? I run, I don't. And so I went to my doctor and he says, let me tell you something that saved my life. He says, I slept just like you did because I had so much on my mind with all my patients and everything. He said, I went to this sleep doctor and he put me on one of these CPAP machines. You ever heard of those? And he said, that saved my life. I'm now sleeping 6 hours a day. And I am actually doing that. Can you believe that? I actually slept 6 hours one day. I couldn't believe it. It was the greatest day of my life. I felt so good. So, sleep. If you have that in your family, you've got to address it. If you have a restless leg and you snore, that's not very ladylike, I know, but if you snore, you need to see a sleep doctor and try to get that corrected. I can't overemphasize that enough. How many of you like to play golf, recreation, jog, swim, just like to do things like that? Hunt, fish, recreation. Go out and play. You need that. Sometimes I tell my wife, I said, I'm going to go play golf. She said, good. I don't know what that means. But I do that. I do that. I like to play golf every once in a while. And I just get excited. I'm off by myself. The grass smells good and it's out in the open. And then I hit the ball. I got a cute joke. You can tell your husband this if he plays golf. This guy always had pride in that he could get to every par 5 hole in 2 shots. He was strong and hit the ball a long way. So he came up on this par 5 with his buddy. And he rips his drive and he says, that went in the rough. You're not going to be able to get there in 2. So he goes over and he looks at his shot, and he has a little opening in between trees. If he can hit the ball out there and cut it a little bit, he can knock it on the green and still get there in 2. So he lined his shot up and he rips it, hit the tree, and it bounces back, hits him right in the head, and it killed him. So he went to St. Peter. St. Peter was looking at his life. He says, "My goodness, you really like to play golf?" He says, "Yes, sir, I do." He says, "Are you good at it?" He said, "Well, I got here in 2, didn't I?" Okay. So there's good stress and there's bad stress. What's bad stress? This is where y'all are. Poor nutrition. That just wipes you out. Overweight. Oh my gosh, what stress is that? That's to your muscles, your joints, your blood sugars, all this stuff. It just ruins your life. Lack of physical activity. How many of you stiff so bad you can hardly get out of bed every morning? You just, How many of you grunt and groan when you get up? How many of you you're winded all the time? You do something, this is not normal. This is not what you should be. You can't serve God like this. You've got to work on it. How many of you smoke, drink too much alcohol? Look at all our society. Isn't that sad? Do you know there's about 25% people still smoking? Somebody told me there was actually an increase in teenage girls in smoking. Now, how could that happen? That's the most insignificant act I've ever seen to your health, is smoking a cigarette. Besides that, you smell bad. Lack of sleep is, again, what we talked about. What are some psychological distressors? How many of you have a chip on your shoulder? How many of you are always looking for bad things to happen? How many of you are so defensive that somebody says something, you just almost fly off at that? You just go pout, you see. Some of you worry. I worry about my son. I worry about my children. I still do that. I can't stop it. But it's a kind worry. I try to make it that way. Anxiety. How many of times you're just so anxious? How many times you find yourself having pity parties or depressed? This is not a good way to go through life. God didn't teach us for us. He doesn't want us to have this kind of life. He wants us to be happy and a smile on our face and kindness in our heart. You just feel so much better. So how do you cope with stress? It's very important. Well, first of all, you got to develop a positive self-talk. This is something you got to work on. When you find yourself having negative talks, do that or something. So read positive books. Watch positive TV shows. Have you ever watched some of our TV shows? I used to watch Andy Griffith, Carol Burnett. I just love that kind of stuff. You know, somebody said that they see so many of these children seeing, some of you have heard this statistic, I don't know what it is, but they see about 10 murders a week on TV. Just, some kind of movie. Look for humor in all things. That's the key to a good life. Learn to laugh at yourself. You ever getting to the point where you go in a room and you forget why you went in there? when I bend down to tie my shoe, I look around and see if I can do something else while I'm down here, you know. But laugh at yourself. Laugh. Don't get so uptight about everything. Be an encourager. Encourage people. Did you know the South and Alabama in particular have the most encouragers of any state that I've ever traveled in? I've been all over the North. Man, that'll cut your throat. Hi, shut up. You know, oh yeah, okay. So we're going to eat good complex carbohydrates and not simple carbohydrates. That's real important. Let me see, I got lost here. We're going to eat whole grains like wheat, rice, oats, and rye. We're going to eat tubers that are grown under the earth. Look at all those good ones we have there. Legumes, we're going to, no cans. The veggies, especially the crucifix. Isn't that something that they're shaped like a crucifix? Did y'all get that? That fires me up. Then we're going to exercise. We're going to drink that water with a good pH. Eat some wild fish, and free-range chicken, and grass-fed beef. We're going to exercise regularly, and we're going to learn to rest a while. This is one of my favorite scriptures. It's found in Mark, and it's 6:31. And this is Jesus talking, so it's red in my Bible. Jesus says to the disciples, let's go into this desert place and rest a while. He says, you guys are coming and going so much you hadn't even had time to eat. Is that your life? Do you hurry into fast foods and eat because you don't have time? Well, you gotta figure out a way to rest a while. It could be you can just go in your little room that you have that you feel comfortable in, and you can write letters or read a book, but it's your place. My place is in my big chair. That's, the kids say, oh no, that's Dad's chair. You can't sit in that chair. But I get in my chair, and that's where I rest a while. You know, I like to watch a golf tournament or something and just rest a while. That's where I do it. But your rest a while may be just going out taking a walk, or going out into the beautiful lakes and things around here and rest a while. My wife has a weird place. Oh man, you wouldn't believe this. When she rests a while, she puts the kids to bed or something, and then she'll go get in the tub. And she'll put roses in, it's weird, guys, in that tub. Then she'll light candles. God, it's no. And if you go in there and disturb her, she'll come out of there mean as a snake. So when we have to go to the bathroom, we learn how to hold it till she gets through it. Okay. Well, I have certainly enjoyed y'all. Y'all have been gracious to me, and you laughed at my stupid jokes, and I appreciate it. Now, I want to wish y'all in my 3 John 2. You ever heard that one? This is my wish to y'all. I wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Isn't that beautiful? Well, that's my wish to y'all. Okay, thank you very much.